Thank you so much. Welcome and thank you for being online and watching this webinar. The topic for today's webinar, since Maggie so beautifully covered my background, after my husband died, my personal and professional networks both fell apart in some places, but also there were different things that I needed from my network after that loss. So that were unexpected to me, that were not necessarily clear. So it's not who you know, it's how well you leverage your network. And in the course of our lives, what happens is with every transition or every loss, we need to renegotiate with our networks. We need to actually assess them and take a look and see if we have what we need. Same slide. Okay, there are 3 essential steps to leverage your network for optimal results. The first is to reassess and reactivate your existing network. So that's a foundational step. Where do you stand right now? Who is stepping up and who is stepping back? What do you need that you didn't need before? The second is reciprocate and rebuild your post-transition network. This is once you know what you have and what you need, then start reaching out, start asking for what you want, start building proactively your network. What we typically do is we passively wait after such a loss or such a transition, and we wait for people to step up, or we wait for in the roles of the people who left for somebody to fill that role again. But we don't actively take a look at it and see what we need and just step into rebuilding. And the third is to explore and expand your leveraged network. Okay, I'm going to turn off my video and keep going. So we're going to go deeper into each of these topics. The transitional events which will affect your professional and personal networks include loss of a person. So that is somebody died, or there was a divorce or a separation. So it's not necessarily death. It could be something else. Position, that's job loss. That's demotion. Health. Health is unpredictable. Health can blindside us. So health can be not just us. So it can be our health, but it can also be the health of a family member, where we have to dig in and step up and take care of someone else. Loss of financial stability. What you'll see is that all of these categories, they intermesh, they go together. So financial stability can be provoked by loss of a job. It can be provoked by health issues, extra medical bills, loss of a home. Loss of a place is the last one. So that's foreclosure, eviction, a move. So even a move, which is a positive thing and can be a negative thing, your networks will be upended, turned upside down. You'll need to find your people again. So how do you do that? Practical impact post-transition. Emotional, financial, health, social, and spiritual. Emotionally, what happens is that when we are swept under by emotions after a transition of some kind, and a transition is anything that is effectively the death of a future that you imagined alone or co-created with other people. Not being able to pay bills, that increases stress dramatically. Not having reserves, that means you can be knocked over very easily by small things. So if there are no reserves and there's no gas in the car, that's a huge problem. Health. So health impacts everything. If your health is not good, it impacts an ability to focus. It changes how well you can work. It changes how well you can connect with people, which ladders into social, right? Those disconnections are really tough. When we're exhausted, it's really hard to want to reach out because that requires energy. And lack of self-care, not putting in those spiritual practices, whatever those may be for you, meditation, prayer, journaling, whatever it is, exercise, whatever yours is necessary to amp up after a transition because you're under additional stress. You're having to rebuild your networks. So step 1, reassess and reactivate your existing network. So something has changed in your life. You're in a new job or you're looking for a job. You're looking for a new relationship. You're rebuilding your friends. You're finding out where things are in a new neighborhood. Look at what is currently in your life because the network that you have may not serve you right now. You may need something else. I will be providing assessment quizzes at the end of the webinar that you can grab and you can make your own assessment because knowing where you stand is really essential to getting to a point where you can leverage. The second thing is get clear yourself. Which of your needs are being met and which aren't? All of the things that I've already discussed, they intersect with each other. So it might be financial and health. It might be social. But they will ladder together. So what's being taken care of? Do you have friends to go out with? That's personal. Professionally, let's say something good happened. You got a promotion, but you're dealing with different managers. You're at a different level, and you may not know how to navigate this new place. You may need new allies, new mentors. So what needs are being met and which aren't? What people have stepped up and which have stepped back? That will always happen. It will continuously happen in your life. Getting these skills, understanding these 3 steps are critical to really being able to have your networks serve you and have you serve them most effectively. Once you're clear about what you need, so you have the context for what you're asking for, what you're going to do is you're going to look at the third step is to explore and expand your leveraged network. So you'll have people who were there before, who existed in your network before, and you're going to have people you're going to start to look for. Step 2, reciprocate and rebuild your post-transition network. So step 1 is essential because you need to know what you want to ask for it. And then you need to be sure that you have the right person. That's why you have the network. And both of those elements are critical. One of the most interesting things I learned after my husband died is that if I was absolutely clear about what I wanted and asked the right person, I almost always got it. Because it's a win-win. If they can't lose, if they will absolutely, because you're asking so clearly for what you want, give you what you want, that is enormously satisfying. And that was surprising to me. I thought that it had to be equal ground. And after my husband died, I was not on equal ground. I felt completely broken. But if I could get super clear about what I wanted, find the person who could deliver what I wanted and ask them, we both won. We both won. Where possible, be generous and invoke the law of reciprocity. What does that mean? there is a balance to relationships. It's not a tit for tat kind of balance. It's not has to always be equal. But no matter where you are and no matter what your circumstances are, it is possible for you to be generous in some way. We think of that as only financial. It's not. Being generous could mean saying a kind word when someone is feeling down. It could mean after I picked myself up a bit, I began sharing the resources that I was learning to get myself back to resourceful, to get myself back to effective and happy. You could do that too. You're going to seek out new people to fill gaps in your network. As I said, typically we sit passively and we wait for the people to step up into the roles that have been abandoned. Stop it. You have people in your network that you may not even have thought of. Once you're aware of who you need, of what resources you're looking for, of where you can maybe serve another person and they can be of service to you, those people will show up. That's why it's so important to be clear on what you require. Step 3. You're going to explore and expand your leveraged networks. This is where leverage comes in. You must know where you're going. So I say map out your current and future needs, wants, and desires. The really interesting thing is that there is no redundancy. There is nobody who wants exactly what you want. You may be a social media specialist and think that you're competing with another social media specialist. And you are and you aren't. Nobody can deliver what you offer in the world other than you, better than you. The question is, who are your people? So in a professional sense, who's your network? Who are the people who are waiting to hear from you? Once you know where you're going, what is the context of what you're offering? What is the context of what you need from the world? Then you can start creating a world in which that gets delivered to you. That's leverage. You've already figured out how to ask for what you want in a way where it's immensely satisfying for people to deliver it. What began to happen was that once I was clear, it became so fast to get what I wanted because I was clear. And so my network began getting really responsive. Oh, okay, this is what you need here. Your network is your greatest asset to getting what you want. So you need to treat them really well. Treating them well can be going out. It can be reaching out and making a phone call. It can be sending an article about something that they're interested in. It can be one of the things that I did. I was a new widow. I was absolutely devastated. But what I could do was I could share what I was learning to get myself back to center. Because I thought, okay, well, I am sure if I'm not finding resources for what I need, that there are other people out there who are having the same experience. And maybe I can help someone with that. Personal networks and professional networks. They're different. They intersect, but they are different. So personal network has a lot more to do with self-care. So that might be what kind of resources do you need to have out there to take care of yourself? For me, it's I go do singing bowls. I do journaling. I reach out to friends. So that's personal. I walk in nature. Everyone has their own thing. What's yours? Okay? Networks need to be nurtured. It's essential. I have people in my network that I can reach out to periodically, even once in several years, and pick up where I left off. There are other people who need more nurturing, other networks that need more. It will ebb and flow. So treating your network well does not mean calling every single person in your network all the time, but it means being mindful of who your network is. What do you care about? How do you care about them? What shows up as being mindful and taking care? I am close to my nephews and my nieces, and one of my nephews was going away to college. So I'm a crystal person, and I went to the store and I got him a crystal that was also kind of like a worry stone, so that it was an expression of love, and it was also something that he could mess around with, either put as a paperweight or, touch when he needed to feel connected to someone who cared about him. Your network will need different things from you. You know what those things are. Okay? So treating them well means you pay attention. Listening is a huge, huge thing. If you listen to what your network says, you will know what they require from you, and you can provide it, no matter what your circumstances. And they will reciprocate. Nobody goes it alone. You can't make it alone. Creating leveraged network is essential to making the impact that you want to make for your particular ripple effect. There is something special that you are here in the world to create. And to leave a legacy, you have to do it with other people. What that requires is we lift each other up. Sometimes you will be in great shape. You'll be able to give a whole lot. I had an interesting experience with energy after my husband died. Sometimes I had lots and sometimes I had none. When I had lots, I moved very, very fast. When I was really able to connect, I would reach out much more than when I had no energy, because I knew that there would come a time when my energy would ebb again, when I couldn't do it. Life is like that. Life knocks us sideways. It just does. Okay. These are the assessments I was talking about. There's a personal network assessment and a professional network assessment. They allow you to evaluate where you are right now. Are you satisfied or not satisfied with how your network is performing, with how well you're taking care of them and how well they're taking care of you? Because they can provide for you exactly what you require to thrive in all aspects of your life: work, health, finances, money, and relationships. Okay, this is my last slide. Your personal and professional networks are your net. My favorite quote is, "Leap and the net will appear." A trapeze artist who falls wants a net under them. These kinds of nets are built and nurtured. If you know how to assess and rebuild your network after every single transition in your life, what you can do after any transition is you can say, okay, this is the network that I had. Some people have stayed, some people have stepped up, some people have stepped back. What do I need now? Because post-transition, some of those will stand and some of them will shift and some of them will grow and some of them will fade away. Learn to ask clearly for what you want. If you do that, you get it more often, because it's really satisfying for people to be able to deliver, for people to be able to fulfill. It's satisfying for you when you can do that for someone, right? And then once you know your gaps, you're asking for what you want, fill in those gaps. You have people in your existing network, and then you can choose new connections, not just wait for them to rise up. It's a much more proactive approach to networking. Typically, we reach out in our various networks, we connect with people. We don't necessarily know where we will fulfill for them and where they will fulfill for us. But if we reach out proactively, if we reach out with the context of where we're going, of who we are, of what we need, and of how we can serve, it changes absolutely everything. And it makes you a much more significant resource for your network and vice versa. If you do this, if you use these tools ongoingly in your life, I promise, I pledge that you will get what you want much faster and more effectively because you're not doing it alone. And your network will be much more satisfied and thrilled with your relationship because they know what you want and what you need and what you desire, and because they know so clearly that they can deliver it, it feels like an equal exchange. You may have noticed when things get out of balance, it's really hard to build your networks because you don't feel like you're contributing enough. And for someone else, they might not feel like they're contributing enough to you. So if you show them how they can, you will wind up with a very lively and massively growing network because you're doing it right. And you're doing it your way. And you're doing it in the service of both you and them, both participating and both on equal ground because you're each providing your best stuff, what you can provide. No redundancy. They can't give you what you're giving them, and vice versa. You're different. And you each have extraordinary things to offer in the world. And when you deal with your network in this way, life gets fast and easy. So I offer you the assessment links. I'm going to go back for 1 sec. If you want to take a picture with your phone or whatever, after this webinar, Savvy Ladies is going to send them out. I invite you to take the assessments, find out where you are. Where do you stand? Because from that foundation, you can build a rock solid leveraged network that will provide everything that you desire. And schedule a call with me. My recommendation is do the assessment first. Find out where you are. Then schedule a call with me. Here's the link. And let's talk about it. Let me help you review what you've come up with. And let's come up with some strategies and resources for you to thrive, for you to build your networks and leverage your networks and get what you want. Thanks so much. And I would love to take any questions.
Great. Thank you, Alice. I'll remind everyone, if you have a question, you can use the chat box or you can email info@savvyladies.org. And one of the questions that we had come in already is asking, I was recently let go from my job, and that was my whole network. How do I move forward when my contacts are all connected to my old job?
That is a fabulous question. In your networks from your old job, you also have personal relationships built over time. You can reach out into those networks because those people already know you. They already know how good you are. They already know how you can deliver. Who do they know who would be a good connection to you? Because if you talk to them after you get clear exactly what you're looking for, they can connect you with someone else who can deliver you to a new job or to what's next for you. So leverage the relationships that you've already built. Those relationships can open up. You never know who people know. You never know what opportunities are out there. It's not just in the job that you left. It's in what you built while you were there. It's in the work that you delivered, and it's in the relationships that you created and nurtured, and the people you worked with, the people you went out with, all of it.
Okay, great. Thanks, Allison. And I just wanted to let you know I'm seeing some comments here of people thanking you for the presentation, and thanks for sharing your experience and really sharing that value with them. So this next question is asking, what advice do you have when your professional networks are so intertwined that you're afraid of sharing that you're in a job search because you don't want it to get back to your current employer?
That is a good question. So you're in a job search and you don't want it to get back, and you have personal networks where if you told those people, it would get back to your employer. The question is, who do you trust and what do you need? There are people that you can trust in your professional network, and you can ask them for help, or you can ask them for connections outside of your current professional network. The answer is, who do you trust personally? Because if they're just professional connections, you don't want to go to them because it will get back to them. And it might anyway. The fact of the matter is it might anyway. The way that jobs work has changed significantly in the past 10 or 20 years. Very often people jump jobs every 2 years. 20, 30 years ago, people would stay with a company for a lifetime. So the landscape of job hunting has changed, and the company recognizes that. I hope that was helpful.
Okay, thanks, Allison. Another question is asking, what are ways to ask for what I want or need from the right person? Do you have some examples?
Yes. If you need, so an example from life. When my husband was dying, oxygen wasn't covered. And a friend of mine actually sent money for oxygen. That's a really drastic example. So this is in personal network first. I knew that when I was exhausted, I would not be able to think of self-care ideas. So I asked in one of my networks for all of the self-care ideas that each person had. And I got 100 examples. Professional. Let's say you're on a team, and I'm just going to use stuff from life. In a job, you've just experienced a loss, and it was the loss of a person. And suddenly you can't focus, your energy is wavering. You can ask within your team for them to provide a net for you. Okay, I know that my focus is not good in this moment, so I may ask you to look over my work in this particular instance. You might ask for mentoring. I recognize in this company that you're exceptionally good at this particular skill. It's a skill I know that I need to learn. Can you help me learn it? These are a couple of different ways you can ask for what you want. In my experience, what happened was that as long as I was so clear that they could absolutely deliver, I pretty much always got what I wanted. So clarity is really essential. And we can talk about it.
Okay, thanks, Allison. Those look like all the questions that we had. So I want to thank you again for a really great presentation. And as everyone shared in the chat, thank you so much for sharing your personal experience. So thanks to everyone for joining us today. And we will be sending out the links if you didn't have a chance to write them down or take a screenshot, the links for the assessment, as well as a call. So thank you again to everyone. And thank you so much, Allison.
Thanks so much. Thanks, Maggie. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.